All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to is it August 30th live stream, the last one of this month and right before the Labor Day weekend. Um,
It's only August 30 if you're living in the past.
okay.
For some of us, it's August 31.
Yeah, that's true.
That
That's
is
true. I
true.
forgot
That
about
is true.
that. So for this week, we have a guest. Uh, it's Orange Unit. Besides Orange Unit, we have Blarg and Stevo.
Hi,
Looks like
everybody.
Orange.
Hey,
eh,
hello.
G'day,
Hey,
g'day.
so it looks like you just got your profile picked up. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm totally into orange cats. Like, I really like orange cats. I have 5 cats, and only one of them's orange, and it's my favorite. So, his name is actually Orange Unit. So, I picked that from my Twitter account, Orange Unit. So, it's an
okay,
obsession. It's crazy, I know.
okay. So it isn't your cat that's actually posting; it's you
That
just
that would be
posting
correct.
in his
Yes,
name. Okay, all
but
right.
if you see a bunch of random characters appear, then that might be my cat walking across the keyboard, and that I have no control over.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with that. At least we know ahead of time.
Yeah.
And for everyone, Orange Unit comes from the way of Twitter. He, I think, initially was posting or responding to my handle about challenging your belief. And there's some kind of back and forth. And he was supposed to be on last week, but due to kind of what was happening last week, I had kind of told him I may not be able to come on. And so he, I think, wasn't planning to come on, even though I did end up appearing, coming on last week
Yeah, sorry
with
for the confusion.
Blarg's help. Yeah, no worries. With Blarg's help, so we did have a live stream last week, but Orange Unit was okay with coming on this week, so that's why he's on. So before we get started, I'll just kind of introduce our group here. So this platform I have in place really to have a civil discussion with people who I may end up getting into arguments or whatnot online. And this kind of came on as uh, initially from the YouTube comment section from the Atheist Experience, where there were a lot of comments, and then and as you can imagine, for most online comments, it gets a bit, I like to call it spicy, where people can uh, get kind of aggressive or sometimes even abusive. So my idea is that when people are brought on where you actually have a real discussion, that people are a little more well behaved or potentially more well behaved. So this was a platform where people can come on and have a discussion, and hopefully a civil discussion. And for the most part, it's been pretty civil. The people that I've been able to bring on, uh, I think I'm at a little disadvantage with bringing people on because I can get a bit aggressive in the comments, in the tweets. So people kind of assume that it would be the same here. That when they come on here, that it would be a lot of aggressive. Um, eh, eh, as some YouTube channels can be kind of aggressive and sometimes even abusive, where the hosts completely dominate the discussion. But that isn't the case here. So that's how this started. And then we have kind of regulars from the Atheist Experience that have come on with me to, help me to make this discussion a lot more interesting and a lot more than me just kind of talking to myself. So I'll introduce first, Blarg, if you want to introduce yourself.
It would help if I wasn't muted in order to be heard. Yeah, I'm the token Australian for today. We have another one who joins us occasionally, and if you want spicy, there's that guy. But yeah, I'm an Australian atheist with a background in physics and engineering. So that's me.
All right, Steve-O?
Yeah, I'm from the U.S., particularly from Louisiana. I am my background's in sociology, and I'm an atheist as well. So pretty much that's the gist of it.
And before we go on to, let me just say, although the three of us are atheists, we do have a pantheist, and in the comments we have Craig Kelly, who's actually a Christian, and Craig asked the question whether my dad's okay. On the last stream, I was not able to fully make it because I wasn't at home because I was taking care of my dad who was going through dementia, and he was actually admitted to the hospital on Sunday because of kind of a fit he had, and he was there most of the week, and I was there with him as he needed someone to translate. But he was released on Thursday afternoon because physically he was fine, or as fine as one can be at his age. But we were trying to get him to a nursing home. They actually denied him because of what was in the report. I think they kind of thought that they needed, my dad needed a facility where he can be kind of essentially locked down and limited, just so that he doesn't, like, for example, just wander out of the facility. So
Ooh.
so it's been a bit challenging just trying to get him on or kind of get him taken care of, and there's kind of a lot of issues with getting Medicaid, as well as getting guardianship, etc. So those are things that my sisters and I have been um, going through over the last week. But I think at least now we are at a position where we can we have things settled where we can we do have a bit of time to work that out. So yeah, so it's definitely better now, and I don't have to go to the hospital every day and try to work from his room. So yeah, so that's my background, and that's to answer Craig's question. And also he wanted to remind us that he's a token Scottish guy. So and that's actually obviously very important piece. And while I was talking, we had our other member join us, John Clark. John, if you could introduce yourself, and then after that, Orange Unit, you can introduce yourself to us. Oh, maybe his mic audio system isn't ready to go. Hey, John, can you hear us?
Staticky.
Okay. Yeah, while he's working on that, then maybe we'll go to Orange, or why don't you introduce yourself? Maybe a little bit of background. I guess I didn't mention it, but I do have an undergrad in philosophy, and I have postgrad studies in molecular biology. I didn't complete my PhD program as I shifted my career to more to the IT. So I do have kind of a technology background as well, and mostly kind of working on operations for like a Fortune 500 company. So that's my background. So Orange Unit, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, thanks again for having me on. I live in the United States. I'm married, have a wife, couple kids. I'm in my 50s, so I have kind of maybe a unique perspective on things than perhaps some of the newer, younger generation. So I'll probably be outnumbered here because I am a Christian. I'm actually a minister. I do actually, in fact, last Sunday I was giving a sermon on a stage at our local church here. So hopefully I can bring some points to it. And I agree this isn't about arguing or debating or anything, but I think I might be able to bring a few points to the table here. And of course, with Challenge Your Beliefs, I took an interesting stance with you on Twitter just for the fun of it, where I said, well, I believe in evolution. I'm an atheist, so challenge my beliefs. You as an atheist, challenge my beliefs. So we kind of did a little fun back and forth there. And I think that's a good thing. I think no matter whether you don't believe in God or do believe in God, everyone should sit and consider what is the basis for my belief? Is it valid? Is it, because if there is a God, there should be clear, cut and dry evidence that proves it. If there isn't a God, well, that should also be the same. And so I think whether you believe in God or don't believe in God, to sit and evaluate it is scripturally sound. There's scriptures that actually outright say, make the truth your own. Paul commended the Bereans when they kind of sat and were like, I'm not sure if this Christ is really God's son that you're talking about. And he commended them for being skeptical. In the day and age that we're living in, I don't blame anyone one bit if they don't believe in God. I mean, so many religions teach that God is love, as is the religion that I belong to. God is love. But then you look at the world, you see all the crap that's going on, and you can say, well, how could there truly be a God of love if all this stuff is going on in the world? Good people suffer, bad people suffer. There's so much atrocity, so much going on. I think it's just a valid thing to ask those kinds of questions. There's 3 points that I'll bring up. I won't start on those now. I'll wait for your direction, challenge your beliefs. But when you're ready, there's 3 points I want to bring up. So if we get off track when I bring up the 1 or 2, don't forget I still have additional points. And I do have I have another hour, and then I have to go. So about 10 or 9:15 rather, I have to head out. So I just wanted to mention I do have a little bit of a time constraint. So
Yeah, no worries. So John is back, and it looks like his mic is working. So, John, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. What all would you like me to say?
Just your background.
Okay. So John Clark. I'm on the East Coast. I've got a background in a little bit of mathematics, a little bit of marketing. I describe myself as an atheist. The question of whether or not a God exists is kind of a non-starter because we can't even properly define the term. Based on what I heard about your backgrounds, I think you and I might have some interesting questions to ask each other. But most of my adult life, I've been an atheist. Been certainly proud to be a part of this group. Always grateful for the fact that they're willing to put up with my shenanigans. I have not had nearly as much caffeine as the last time that I was on this show, so I promise I will be at least 15% more calm. So that is. And one of my mottos in life is the only thing better than a good dad joke is a terrible dad joke,
which you're very good with.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I've got going on in terms of just sort of broad strokes. But certainly, it's based on what I heard from your introduction. I'm very interested and fascinated to hear what you have to say.
Where are you calling from? It looks like there's a lot of background.
Oh, I do apologize. So I got caught late on a work project, so I'm actually in my car right now. Okay. But I've got my earbuds in, and I'm using hands-free. So I'll try and I'll turn my microphone off unless there's something specific that I want to say.
Okay. Yeah, definitely be careful. And Orange, you can just call me QC, not challenge your beliefs. That's kind of okay. a mouthful. So
yeah, QC, that works. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So one of the topics I did want to discuss, because it's been very topical, is the shooting at the Minnesota Catholic School. And I think it would be a good discussion to have with Orange. Him being a pastor minister, it would be good to kind of get his input on it. And one of the things that I wanted to bring up was this particular account, Christian Tweets, had put this post that had kind of come on my timeline, and I wanted to use this kind of as a jumping board. This person, and I presume I take this person at their word, because it looks like, just from his background, it seems like they're consistently Christian. Um, so they're not trolling, they're not pretending to be Christian or mocking Christianity. And the bio says, we share Bible verses and Christian encouragement. Let's welcome Jesus Christ is Lord, John 14:6, and has a pretty sizable followers. But their tweet here is that, the shooter fired 116 rounds into the church and only 2 people died. Sounds like prayer worked. And obviously, I think for many of us, and I think for even other Christians, that may not sound like prayer worked, unless the prayer was that, please God, if there's a shooting in a Catholic church, only kill 2 people, or the others that were actually shot, please, it's okay if they get shot, but don't let them die after you hit the 2 quota. So it sounds bad, and I think this would be a good opportunity to kind of get feedback from Orange. What do you say to something like this when someone is claiming that prayer worked because only 2 people died?
Well, yeah, and as a minister who has studied the Bible, I've studied the Bible my entire life. I've read the Bible several times through, and I help people when they're in distress. And so, my first thought on this is pure garbage. It's pure hogwash. It sounds like prayer worked. Well, only 2 people died. Really? There's no basis in scripture on a comment like that. Things happen on the earth. It's under extreme demonic control, and there will be a time where God will appropriately act on behalf of those who fear Him. But that time is not now. So can we pray for the people that are going through distress and the families of those who have died? Absolutely. The Bible likens prayer to incense, to our Creator, that it's pleasing to Him. So, and you brought up a valid point, because you said, well, if the prayers are specific, well, hey, God, if a shooter goes into a Catholic church and fires 116 rounds, can you make sure only 2 people die? But see, nobody knew this was going to happen. Probably nobody's even heard of that church except for the local people in that area. So how could anybody even ultimately be praying for that? So just the bottom line ultimately is that this kind of reasoning is not scripturally based. God does appreciate our prayers when disasters strike. It's an after the fact kind of thing, help those that are in distress. But we can't pray to God and say, can you please prevent every atrocity from happening on the earth? No, because God's just, he might appreciate that you're concerned about it and are willing to express that in prayer. But Jesus ultimately set the example in how we should pray when he said, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Well, so it's not intercessory, right? From your point of view, you don't feel like prayer should be intercessory, where someone asks for intercession by God or Jesus, right?
Prayer is very useful for your personal, the personal things that you're going through. I've gone through tremendous amount myself where prayer was exceptionally vital for my spiritual maintenance. Praying for family members, praying for your friends, your neighbors, things like that. But Jesus set the regard in that. He gave us exactly what to pray for, how to pray. And we can talk to God as our best friend. So as a minister, I feel I have that relationship with God where I feel like he is my best friend, and I can be open with him. I can talk to him and say whatever it is I want to say without judgment, right?
So this is so the question is, do you think a prayer is intercessory? So is the question no? It's really more to have a dialogue, right? A conversation with God, right? Not to ask him to, make sure that there's no shootings in Catholic churches.
That would be correct. Yeah,
Okay.
there's nothing to biblically explain, anything further than what Jesus Christ gave us as a model for what to pray for and how to pray.
Right, because you asking God to do something seems contrary if the idea is that God has a plan, right? It's as Tuna Man has posted, if God's will be done, then praying is like asking him to change his will. So
Mm-hmm.
intercessory prayers in general seem to be contrary to at least your view of Christianity.
Yes, that would be correct.
Okay. So then when people say thoughts and prayers, at least on the prayers part, at least from your point of view, it is to have a conversation with God and maybe try to figure out or understand, what, some of the things that are happening. It's almost like a therapy where you're kind of having this dialogue with God to try to work some of these things out. Is that fair, or does that sound wrong to call it like a therapy? Because from what you said, it sounds like it's really to help you when you have that prayer.
There are personal prayers, yeah, and there is a bit of therapeutic element to praying, because when you pray, you're stopping for a moment. You're focusing on what's most important, right? So if you're going through a day, everything is going wrong, things are hectic. Even if you just stopped for a moment and did nothing, maybe you didn't pray, but just even that stopping, what did I do wrong? What could I have done differently? That in itself is therapeutic, right? That's going to help us.
Yeah.
So
But ultimately, it's like
oh shoot.
meditation.
Okay, I am so sorry.
Sorry, you have to
I
go.
am an EMT, and
Okay. Oh, wow.
well,
Okay.
so I am so sorry. Yep, I have to
All
head
right.
out to
No
this.
worries. No
I'll
worries.
catch you
No,
next week,
understandable.
okay?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
See you next week. Bye bye.
Thanks. Okay. Well, that seemed like an interesting discussion we're getting into.
Yeah, he was.
And yeah, sorry, I thought there'd be a little more time to pull you guys in. So,
That's all right. It happens.
yeah, and I mean, I think we can kind of have the discussion amongst ourselves on this topic. We don't need to try to represent what he's saying, but this one thing I would like to bring up is, or where I was getting to is, what Craig had kind of was saying. Orange Cat makes it sound like he's talking to voices in his head. And when he talks about, kind of stopping and think, I mean, that's basically being, like getting into mindfulness, to meditation. And, it can be helpful, but you don't have to have this supernatural being to exist for you to have that, that moment of mindfulness. What do you
No,
guys think?
essentially, it sounded to me. Is my voice coming through all right?
It's getting better now.
Yeah,
It's getting
because
a little bit
earlier,
better.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
better now.
I was trying to talk and nobody seemed to be hearing me, so I wasn't sure what
Okay,
was going on there.
it's good. It's good now.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds a lot like talking about talking with your best friend. That's indistinguishable from having an imaginary friend.
Yeah.
You know, the little purple unicorn in that TV show. Did anyone watch it with the cop whose kid
Harvey.
has a little purple unicorn?
What?
Harvey?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called.
I believe it was called Harvey. It had the same actor who was on Law and Order SVU, and it was one of the most darkly hysterical shows I've ever seen.
I have never seen it, so I have no idea.
Yeah, it's very good. But yeah, he starts seeing this little purple unicorn flying around, cartoon unicorn, and it turns out that's his daughter's imaginary friend, who's not as imaginary as they thought. He's actually able to tell him that there are people coming up the hallway to get him.
That's actually funny.
Yeah. So yeah, it's indistinguishable from having an imaginary friend. You know, I haven't got a best friend who just lives in my head. And yeah, talk to it if you want, if that's how it helps. But yeah,
But the difference is, it's not talking to a friend or a best friend, because uh, if you talk to a best friend, they're going to talk back to you.
they're going
Talking
to
to
say
your
things that
imaginary,
you might not. Yeah, that they'll say things that you wouldn't have come up with yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not the same. It's not a real conversation.
It's almost like it's self-referential.
Yeah. There is a
guess I'm-
term for this imaginary friendship or love that people think that they're in a relationship with Beyonce, for example.
Oh,
But there's that term. There's a term for that where it's not a real situation.
Delusional.
That is
that
one
works.
of them. Yeah.
That works, but there's probably a better one. But I can't think of it right now.
Yeah, but that's essentially, it's indistinguishable from that.
yeah. And the other point I wanted to get to was that, even though Orange Cat may have that view of prayers not being intercessory, there are certainly people who do think it's intercessory, right?
Yes.
Parasocial.
Well,
That's the term.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Yeah.
and Q, I mean, you were starting to get into it with your line of questioning. At least it seemed like you were. This idea that if God has a plan, then praying is useless, because either what's happening is a part of God's plan, or you're trying to pray to circumvent God's plan, which means that God isn't going to allow that to happen. So either way, the act of prayer from that point of view is pointless. It serves no function.
Yeah.
And if you're just doing it to understand what's going on around you, well, then that's mindfulness. In which case, well, the Buddhists, Buddhism has been advocating for that about a half a millennia longer than Christianity's been around. So again, I take I take a really annoying stance when it comes. I get really annoyed when prayer comes into these kinds of things, because thoughts and prayer is just the most useless and feckless form of action that one can take. It literally does nothing. But it makes, except for the person who's doing the thoughts and prayers, that makes them feel better. Like they feel it's shake and bake, and they helped.
Yeah, it's actually worse than doing nothing, because it makes the person believe they've done something, when if they didn't believe that, they might have gone and done something.
Right. There's a
So,
I don't know if it was an actual commercial, but there was a video that I saw on YouTube where it shows, and this is rather stark of an image, but it showed a little girl drowning in a pool, and a bunch of people come up to the mother and saying, "Our thoughts and prayers are with you. Our thoughts and prayers are with you." Meanwhile, nobody does anything to get into the damn pool. Now, it's a sketch, but it shows. You're absolutely right. The meaninglessness, and worse than meaninglessness, of just thoughts and prayers. It's absolutely a cop out. It's less than worthless.
Yeah, and one of the comments I was making on Twitter on the whole thoughts and prayers thing is like, people, Christians would say, why are you criticizing that? It's people who are expressing their faith. The real problem is when people in power, in position of making, these kind of changes, when they use thoughts and prayer as a kind of like a point of stop to say, okay, we've done our part, this happened, we've given our thoughts and prayers, there isn't really anything much we can do, it's just something that we're going to live with, so we're not going to do anything. And that's where,
because there's the other part where they say, now's not the time to discuss.
There's that as well.
It's thoughts and prayers, now's not the time. And because you get a school shooting like every day or every other day, now is never the time, because it's always the time that's happening.
Right.
So, you can push it
Yeah,
back.
and after like a decade of this, people are starting to go, okay, it is kind of stupid to say that now is not the time, and yet there
Yeah,
are obviously people who still do
my
it.
question always my question always is, if not now, when?
Well, it won't be when the next shooting happens, and it won't be when there is no shooting. So, yeah, in
So,
Australia,
yeah,
we had the Port Arthur massacre 20 something years ago. Might be it's a while now, and it was a big one. The Port Arthur was an old penal colony down in Tasmania. Where they used to ship convicts from England, and they would go to Port Arthur. It's a sad looking sort of a place, but yeah, a guy went down there, and I think he managed to kill something like 50 people. It was a lot. It was a huge thing, because we just don't have them in Australia. It's just unheard of here. So nobody has guns. Nobody has any sort of setup for that. And but that was the time to talk about it. No other time was the time to talk about it. That was the time to talk about it. And what came out of that is millions of guns got the gun laws got changed throughout Australia. They became so much more strict than they used to be. A whole pile of different types of guns were banned outright, and people were given, like, they were paid to, like, the government had this buyback scheme to buy back heaps and heaps of weapons over like the next year or so. You could sell the weapons back to the government, and they would melt them all down and make something else out of them. And then a couple of times after that, there were things like armistices where you could hand in your guns without. So after that time was up, if you owned particular types of guns, it would be illegal and a serious crime. But they would make a window available where you could go and hand them in at no risk to yourself if you changed your mind. So, and since then, there hasn't been a mass shooting, anything like it. We've had a guy drive up a street and run over some people with a car. And we've had a couple of shootings. We had another one just the other day, another sovereign citizen. So this is two now, where a sovereign citizen has killed two police officers. So, and they're still hunting the guy, and this is like 4 days on or something. They haven't got him. So, but yeah, we just don't have them anymore. And that was the right time. The time is when it happens. It can't be any other time.
By the way, just want to stop. Go ahead.
I was going to ask. I mean, the United States started out as a British colony. Australia started out as pretty much a British colony, if I remember my history correctly. We're pretty multicultural. Australia's pretty multicultural. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts, even just ironically shooting from the hip, on your ideas on how come Australia's gun culture is so significantly different from American gun culture.
Yeah, well,
I wonder if you had any thoughts or insights on that.
Got a couple. For one, we don't have the Constitution set up the way you guys do. There is no Second Amendment. There is no right to own a gun. So you can't take that to the Supreme Court and demand that the Supreme Court say that you're allowed to have a gun.
By the way, on that front, on the Constitution front, I've had this back and forth. The Second Amendment was there.
Doesn't say that at all. Yeah.
Yeah, because they needed a militia at the time. Yeah. And at the time, in militias, there were no standing militias to begin with. And when militias were formed as needed, they depended on the people that were coming in to bring in the guns. So you had to have an armed population in order to have a militia. So that's why it was critical that your population could own guns, because otherwise you wouldn't have that population to draw from to form the militia. Nowadays, we have a standing militia, and we don't ask the people joining the army to bring their own tanks or their own rifles or anything like that. We provide it for them. So there is, I mean, from a Constitution point of view, that wasn't the
It
intent.
is
Of
bullshit.
course, it's changed, right? It's changed to mean that individuals have a right to have a gun, and it moved away from the militia now to really the right to defend yourself. So
Yeah,
we
it's
had the
that
right to bear
that particular Supreme Court where the decision where they decided to end the sentence halfway through it.
Yep.
The right to bear arms. Yeah, and just ignore the well-regulated militia component.
Right.
Yeah, and you go, that's fucking ridiculous. But because I know that a lot of years back, the NRA was really keen on appropriate gun control. Not they didn't want everybody to have a gun. They were really a lot like gun clubs in Australia and gun organisations in Australia. They want people to have guns if it's safe for them to do it and reasonable. But I think my understanding is that the gun manufacturers got heavily involved in the process and basically bought the NRA, and it became an arm of the gun manufacturers. And it also then became this jingoistic sort of calling card as well. So that changed, and that was never here. The other thing we don't have, so you guys have had this other bullshit when it comes to unlimited amounts of lobbying governments and money flowing into governments that
Citizens United.
Oh,
yeah, that shit's not in Australia. And in fact, we've recently been tightening down the laws about how much money can be put into a campaign, where it's allowed to come from. In Australia, the government pays for most of the election. So if you run to try and get a seat, and I think you get more than 2% of the vote, the government will give you money to help you pay for that campaign after it. So the government funds the majority of campaigns. So as a result, our the people we have in government aren't as beholden to corporate interests the same way they are in America. In fact, it's really negative to be seen as a pawn of a company in Australia. It's very, very bad. So politically, so we have a much more responsive government to the voters, as opposed to in America. Essentially, your government doesn't respond to what voters want at all. There's no correlation between what percentage of the voting public want a given law and whether it's likely to be passed.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, right now we're at a point where we are living with an impact of our current gun policies, where the number one cause of death of children are guns. It's higher than car accident, is higher than cancer. Although now cancer might catch up with RFK Jr. We do some cancer research. But there's like just also outside of the misunderstanding of the Constitution, there's also just like misunderstanding of basic facts. So I have on screen this guy who claims that that it's not guns that's causing these excess deaths. Because we had more guns. He claims we had more guns per capita when I was growing up. It's not the guns. And he's an angry old fart, so he may be like in the 60s or 70s. I don't know. But so I basically pulled out.
Grew up in the 70s.
I'm sorry, me?
Hang on. I grew up in the 70s. Back off.
But if you are an old fart or angry old fart, you are an angry old fart. I think you have known that. But
come on now, he sounds like a high caliber individual.
Oh,
my wife would describe some of my parts as angry, so I'm not sure if that counts.
But the facts are that civilian ownership in the U.S. has risen over time quite a bit. and Americans, they own 46% of the world's civilian firearms.
Yeah,
I mean,
and 3% of the world's population.
yeah, just
Yeah.
try to get that, in your head. So there is
Fucking
a
insane.
shitload of owners, like firearm ownership, and it has increased over time. And it increased by about 28%, with 16.7 million firearms sold in just 2023. So what he said was absolutely wrong. And I can't see him now, because after I pointed that out, his response was, it's still not, because of guns. It's not because
Yeah.
of gun ownership. And he just blocked me. So that's why that's why this is like kind of grayed out, and I can't see his, Twitter doesn't show me responses from people who has me
Yeah.
blocked. So that's their response, to actual facts, to real
not
facts.
interested.
So they're so they're not
Here's-
interested in actually having a discussion about it, even, right?
Here's an interesting argument.
Ironically, because of you, he felt targeted.
That's true.
Yeah, his poor feels were hurt. But
Yes, he was definitely very triggered.
Yeah.
So Craig Kelly says, I told I guess GN is girlfriend, or maybe a granny, I don't know, a joke. It shot me a look. The GN wasn't happy. It just kept firing complaints. Oh, gun. I told my gun a
Yes.
joke. It shot me a look. The gun wasn't happy. It just kept firing complaints.
That's terrible. That's
Okay, even I think that's bad.
Yeah, unfortunately, John is just rubbing off on everyone.
It would be better if it just kept firing blanks.
you can get some. You can get treatment for that.
Yeah.
No, I'm good there. Thank you very much.
The standard argument about if you restrict guns, criminals get guns, and then the good people don't have guns, the criminals have guns. Here's a counter argument to that. Sure, criminals can get guns, but in Australia, if you wanted to get yourself an illegal pistol, so pistols are really hard to get in Australia. You've got to have like the requirements in order to own one are much higher. They're not impossible. I used to share a place with a guy who had 2 pistols, but he was a pistol club shooter. So he used to go and do that every weekend. He was that was his hobby. So that was fine. But to buy an illegal pistol in Australia costs over $30,000 on the black market. That's the difference. So they're so hard to get a hold of to get a black pistol in Australia. So as a result, yeah, sure, criminals can get them, but most criminals can't afford them. So it does make a difference. So it's just bullshit.
Yeah. So from an economic perspective, when you turn something into a black market, when you turn it into a scarcity, Econ 101 tells you that the price of a given good goes up when the scarcity goes up. And so a lot of people who make that argument just don't understand basic economic principles.
Well, so this is where Charles, who we've had as a guest, one of the comments he was making to me was, the availability of guns just means the same crime is committed with a gun. It also means a crime can be defended with a gun. No one wants to defend a knife attack with a knife, bud. But the thing is, like, you don't have
without a knife. You can whack them in the head with a baseball bat. Baseball bat versus gun, not a good option.
And also, it's very hard to mass murder people with a knife, because you can't defend yourself with something other than a knife. You could get a bar stool to fend people off, or any of that, right? With a gun, you basically have to have a gun to be able to return fire, and also that means it's very likely that both of you get killed. But the thing I wanted to bring up was in regard to this idea of majority of the gun deaths are actually by suicide, and that's because it's in the U.S. and that's because guns are so available, and also it is something where you can kind of off yourself on an impulse. So you have
you have
right,
one bad day,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
you don't get a second chance.
I know.
Whereas,
I know exactly how that goes. This is a little bit personal. I'm not going to go much into detail, but my brother did that to himself with a gun, and
I
it could
lost
happen.
an uncle to it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just like that. Just he had a bad day. Something happened. We don't know, but it drove him to to do himself to do it.
yeah, but you don't get a second chance. Whereas most
Exactly.
people who swallow pills, they get a chance to,
Yeah.
if they get the help they need, because it doesn't get them the first time most of the time.
And some people, like, even when they slit their wrist, they slit in a
Yeah.
way where it's really more for a cry for help,
Yeah.
not a fatal.
And there is still a chance to be saved no matter how bad it is.
Yeah. So this person basically, was trying to make an argument that do you think if people didn't have guns, they wouldn't kill themselves? Obviously not, right? There's other methods to kill themselves, and he's saying that they would use a rope, drugs, etc. So my comment was like, going back to Australia, is that when they put in that strict ban in response to mass shootings, you think the suicide rates stayed about the same with only the method changing, meaning you would still get the same rate of suicides, except the suicide by guns would be offset by increase in suicide with other methods, knife or hanging or whatever. So I said, you think that easy access to guns allowed people to make impulsive decisions, and without the guns, the rate went down? And does the data actually challenge your beliefs, or do you not care because you're so indoctrinated about guns that you don't care that kids die primarily by firearms in the U.S.? But so if you look up the stats, obviously it does. I mean, not obviously. It does, right? It does go down, especially with suicide. It goes down significantly. And, even though there is an increase with other methods, overall rate of suicide declines quite a bit after the ban on guns. So just not having the availability of this kind of impulsive method has a great benefit in the reduction of suicide. And guess what, this guy, how he responds? So he's like, well, okay, then it doesn't matter, right? It's like, okay, even if there was a statistically significant decrease in suicides after the gun ban, one which fits the hypothesis that people would have killed themselves with guns, or whether they guns choose not to. I think that the very relevant data, and I hope I can see his other one, is that he doesn't care. He says, personally, I don't think we should be making sweeping laws to prevent suicide, even though it's a death, right? Why bother with suicide or trying to prevent suicide? It's the killings, crimes that should be prevented. If you could show a drop in robberies, murders all over all that would be interesting. Though once again, it doesn't mean it could happen here. So he kind of hedges his bets. But what's really bad is like, reduction of suicide, even though it accounts for like 60% of gun deaths, he doesn't care, even if like all that goes away. That we don't want to.
Dead people, just don't take my gun off me. Let the people die.
Yeah. Just if they're killing themselves, what can you do? Even if getting rid of guns will reduce the suicide rate, it doesn't care. But I just want you to stop the killings and the crimes. But the thing is, like, there is a drop in murders, overall murders, with the drop in with the gun ban. First of all, there's like a complete stop of mass shootings for quite a long time.
Yeah.
Plus, it also
Just-
seems like he's trying to move the goalpost with his argument
Exactly.
because
Yeah.
at first it was well, suicides aren't going to go down because people are just going to use other methods.
Yeah.
Well, actually, here's the evidence that proves you're wrong. Well, now you have to show that other murders are going to like okay, you've lost your argument and you don't know what you're talking about. Just accept it and move on.
Hey, Aaron. Hey, QC, if you just let me pop up
Go ahead.
the thing. Just pop you off the...
So it should be easier for you to share stuff. Okay, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah. If we see if I can zoom in a little bit more. How's that look? Can we see what's going on there? It's a photo I took the other day. The Outpost Arms and Ammunition. We don't have many gun shops in Australia. This, I think, is the only one in my city. And I drove past the other day and the back of it was on fire.
Oh.
That's what's going on there. But it turns out that's actually a house behind it. I thought, holy shit, the gun shop is on fire. That is going to be bad for the fireys.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no,
it
it didn't get damaged at all. It was a house immediately behind that was just demolished. And I'm thinking, holy shit, the gun shop is on fire. The only gun shop in my entire city. Yeah.
You're like...
Craig asked, do you think Trump being in power makes gun control more difficult? Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
MAGA is just...
Yes, it does.
By the way, were you guys? Did you guys hear that there was like so much chatter about Trump possibly not being with us?
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, the cankles and the bruising.
Yeah, because he hadn't been seen since like Tuesday, and he had nothing on the calendar.
That's probably enough time for him to be replaced by a doppelganger.
Exactly.
Yeah, a genetic clone bred by the lizard people in the Anunnaki or whatever.
Well, because we know that Melania is a body double, especially when you see her smile and looking like she's actually okay to be next to Trump. That's probably a body double. So now we have a body double of
I
Trump
love
as
the
well.
hat she wore for the coronation. This is probably appropriate to call it. Trump couldn't get close to her.
Yeah.
That stiff brim, and he couldn't get in underneath it. Yeah, yes.
But the funny thing
she
is that
she was brimming with pride.
Damn it, man!
So when he did show up to kind of show that he's not dead, or whatever his body.
I'm not dead yet.
Yeah, right. Wouldn't you know it that he shows up to go golfing, right? He couldn't come and some signing of something or the other, or some press announcement. It had to be this, right? It had to be him going to what are you going to show, Blurg? Is it the I'm not dead yet?
No, it's just a couple of the little bits of Newsom trolling Trump.
Yeah.
So
that is so awesome.
Oh, look! Anyway, Craig had. I take my hat off to her.
Yes.
Love that.
Thank you for
it seems like he is at least alive, if not well.
Yeah.
And
or
then,
if he's in the auto pit for any work.
I was trying to find the picture of Gavin Newsom with all muscles carrying Melania.
The
AI generated image of that. That was so.
Well, also like with Melania on one side and then Ivanka on the other.
Yeah, some of these have just been so very good.
Yeah.
So it's from the Gavin Newsom press office. Actually, you're on Shitter. You can QC.
Yeah,
probably
I
find
I
them.
mean, there's a whole bunch of those.
Yeah, it's so good.
Let's see.
Ooh, we lost someone.
Oh,
John.
yeah.
Oh,
He
oh,
probably
yeah, I
dropped
think,
out to go. He probably got home and probably dropped out to get back on his computer.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
possible.
yeah, maybe.
There was some
Let's see.
clicking I heard.
Yeah. He'll be back.
Let's see. I mean, there's quite a few. There's this, where, oh no, that's a different one. I haven't seen that one. But
There
there's
was the
one where it replicates. Oh, here's one where, look, Gavin Newsom receives a free Canadian Boeing 747.
Oh, Canada.
Yeah, but there's
Make Mega
uh,
cry.
I make MAGA cry, and then there's a lot of
Yeah,
these.
that's probably the one you're talking about, I guess.
There's
Living in Trump's head.
oh
Rent
yeah,
free?
that's a good one. There's definitely one with Ivanka and
There was one with him surrounded by some of the sycophants.
yeah, that was the one I was the prayer one. Oh, okay, here it is.
Ah,
Yeah.
there it is. No,
This is so good.
no. Oh. Ah.
With the eagle flying, hovering in the background. So yeah, there's quite a bit.
That's crazy.
Hope I don't get into ones that are a little bit more risque.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Well,
quite
it
a-
is commentary, so it is fair use.
Yep,
We are
that's true.
commenting on the content.
Yeah. I mean, if you get
Ooh,
it for
what's the one with? Yeah, it's brilliant.
and the thing is, like, when the MAGA stars, like JD, I think, came on and said, well, he's just not very good at doing that, or being like Trump is the authentic one. It's like, no, the point is to make fun of Trump, and they just don't get it. Yeah, I mean, they don't get it. The point is to show how stupid Trump's tweets are by making these stupid tweets. One thing the other thing, just going back to the gun debate. So I know I sent this to you guys. Looks like John's not back on yet.
yeah.
A little bit late, but one of these guys, basically said, okay, what would your so he's like saying, isn't it tricky to get back all the guns? How would you approach it? So it's like, okay, yeah. Oh, it's so tricky. It's definitely not worth, saving the lives of children. Instead, we should just make abortion harder to get since life is so precious. These guys saying how life is so precious, but when guns are killing children so much, and we're talking thousands a year, that it's not enough for them to support gun control. So this guy asked, what would your gun policy be if you had the ability to set it? And so I mean, this just kind of something that just kind of came up off the cuff, and I can get your feedback on it. But the idea is that everyone would be allowed to own guns, but ammunition will be limited, including high capacity magazine. So if you own a high capacity magazine, you may have to renew your registration of your firearms a little more frequently, and you would also have to have a gun license where and this is like very similar to uh, what, like a car license in the US, where you have to pass a written test as well as a practical driving test. So we could have something like that, and background checks where people with mental health issues that resulted in involuntary commitment, it'll be flagged, and people who've committed violent crimes, including domestic abuse, will be flagged. And flag just means that now you have to go and appeal to make a case that you should be able to allowed to own a gun. So this, doesn't seem too onerous to be able to do that, except, for the mental health issue item, there was like a law like that limited gun ownership for people with mental health issues, except the Trump administration had, rescinded that. But they still come out whenever there's a mass shooting to say, oh, it's a mental health issue and not a gun ownership issue. Which obviously they don't believe, since they would rescind a law that would limit ownership to people who potentially have mental health issues. And also, people who are caught with unregistered guns will be, potentially permanently banned. I mean, maybe it could be like a long ban rather than permanent ban. But the penalty would be a lot more severe than right now, where, if you get caught with an unregistered firearm, I don't think it's that big of a penalty. And the reason is, as you put more of these kind of restrictions, it's going to push people to try to get unregistered guns, guns from the black market. So the penalties have to increase. And also, felonies for falsifying business records won't disqualify you, even if you have it in excess of 34. Just in case, Trump ever wants to own a gun. And looks like John's back. So, but the biggest idea I have is like, that outside of, so you can have one gun that's designated for defense, but any additional guns and ammunitions would have to be registered with the local authorities. And the local authorities doesn't necessarily mean like the police department, because, just from a resource point of view, you could have like licensed private companies that take this on. I mean, just think of all the Amazon lockers. Obviously, those are unmanned, but you could have a system, if you really wanted to, have a way where people would, essentially, do an off, just a storage outside of your home of the gun. So you can check it out if you need it for sports like shooting or whatever, or hunting, and you get limited ammunition for, whatever it is that you want to do. And it'll be registered, and you have to check it back in to, limit the, if the gun gets lost or, enters the black market, you would know pretty quickly. And for the guns that are registered for defense, you can't have like, tons and tons of ammo. You would have enough, sufficient for a defense, not to defend against like the whole army of people coming at you. Yeah.
A problem with that is that ammo is nice and easy to reload. So you can pour your own slugs.
Oh, okay, sure.
And you can refill the shells. So the guy I was saying that I used to share a place with, was his other thing he did on the weekends. He used to refill his ammo.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely a thing. And I've got a cousin who's big into shooting as well. And he spends a heap of time doing that. So.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can't, it's harder to limit that. For example, you could, recollect all the casings of, the bullets that you use, and, lead would be relatively easy to get.
You can accumulate them, but it definitely slows it down. Like you can't just go into a store and buy 1,000 rounds.
Right. Yeah, I mean, all these, anything you put in isn't foolproof. There are ways around it, right?
But that's always the argument, isn't it? You go, oh, this won't stop all crime, so we won't try it because.
Yeah, right.
If it can't stop all crime in one go, then we won't.
Come on,
go.
you're only going to save 1,500 lives a year. Is that
all?
Yeah.
There was a joke. I think it was Chris Rock who told the joke that he doesn't care if guns are as cheap as milk, but you make the ammunition $5,000 a bullet.
Oh.
So that way, if you want to shoot somebody, they have to really piss you off. Like that way, if you look at somebody who's got like $30,000 worth of ammunition in his butt, you're like, he must have done something.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, they also use like the opposite argument when it comes to things like abortion. Well, even if one baby
Right.
dies, that's too many. But saving
If
1,000
one
children isn't good
child
enough.
dies, we can't. Well, let's not stop that.
Yeah.
I mean,
The other one is so like for the home register gun, you could have a relatively nominal registration fee, and over time the fee could go down, and also frequency could go down if you just have a long history of ownership of gun for defense. But the store guns would you would want to have a yearly inspection renewal, and also there will be escalating increases in the fees with the number of guns, and also with maybe with the ammo as well. And also if you lose a gun and kind of have a gun that enters the black market, it will result in a suspension of your license to own it. And also, if there is some like rise in tyranny that requires Jim Bob and Bubba to fight this incoming army that's that's going to invade our country, then sure, all you can suspend all these, right? But it's kind of funny that Jim Bob and Bubba don't seem to mind too much that there's military occupation of DC because some kid named Big Balls got beat up by some teens.
Don't forget
They're
the
not.
scourge of sandwich tossing.
Oh, that's right. There is that hero.
There's
hero
great news
tossing
on
hero.
that.
what?
There's great news
was that
on
intentional,
that one, too.
Casey?
Yeah, that was
Well done, sir.
Yeah. So that's I mean, obviously a lot of these are, I mean, it'll be really hard to implement something like this just because of the current resistance. And I think you can kind of bring up legal challenges against, some of these, but
Yeah.
this isn't necessarily onerous. There could be, I think what's onerous might be more a logistics of kind of deploying this. But it doesn't require that, you have to buy back all these guns. You don't have to take anyone's guns from their, cold dead hands. They can still keep that. They just need to register it.
So it's interesting that you should do that quote. I'm guessing that you're directly quoting Charlton Heston.
Yeah.
Okay, so funny thing about him when he was president of the NRA,
Mhm.
which was that he was so popular that originally he was term limited for the number of times that he could be president of the NRA, because in their constitution you could it said you could only serve 2 terms. But he was so good at fundraising and such a great media figure that they actually amended it to allow him to serve another term as president. And everybody in the anti-NRA world was like, oh, so constitutions can change. Huh?
Yes.
It's just,
Tuna nailed it.
yeah, it is. Oh, good grief. So yeah, it's one of those things where these people have these hard, steadfast morals and principles that are unshakable and from God. And as second the situation shifts, they shift right along with it. It's like, shut up. I really have no patience for the NRA and most of their practices. Just it's such depraved politicizing every time that something like this happens. It's just, sorry, I'm going down a rabbit hole. I'll stop talking.
Actually, while we're talking about bullets, though, remember the comment right back at the beginning that the person made about it's 116 bullets were fired and only 2 people died.
Yeah.
I asked the question, what percentage of bullets in war hit the target? And for example, in Afghanistan, approximately 1 of the enemy were killed for every 250,000 bullets.
Oh, wow.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So
Yeah,
apparently in Afghanistan, prayer works.
Yeah, apparently it works in Afghanistan, but it's
Islam, right? It is, so Islam is true.
yeah,
There you go.
Oh,
logic. Because wow, and
Hey, QC.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Oh,
Oh, hey, sorry,
Yeah.
real quick. You did see that our favorite troll is back, at least for now.
No,
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't.
Neppy.
Yeah,
He's,
Neppy's back.
he's back.
I
Oh
asked
boy.
if he got out of jail again. In fact,
I
where he's
think, I
been.
think, I think I've told you my theory about him, or my hypothesis about him, which is that he has medications that he's supposed to take, and he does on a regular basis, but because of his economic situation, there every once in a while there'll be a gap in between when he can afford to get the refills, and so those gaps are when he actually is online, which is why you'll notice he'll be around because it's the end. Because look at it, it's the end of the month. In a couple of days, whatever his sources of income are will re-up, and he'll be able to get his meds again. And somebody in his life makes him take his meds, and so he'll be around for about another week while the meds build back up in his system, and then he'll be gone again for another month or two. That's my hypothesis about him, because if you'll notice, it's usually right around the end of the month when he pops back up again.
No, you're completely wrong, because the guy's a millionaire. He told us himself.
Oh, that's right. No, that's
right.
true. Yeah, that's my bad. You know what? Yeah, clearly, I'm the asshole here then.
Yeah.
So this is the last tweet where he actually tweeted something, because all these other ones he have are just like retweets of, MAGA influencers. I'm not sure when some of these were retweeted, but creation is a scientific fact. We know that by the facts, creation is proved. I mean, this is probably like the same thing. Sorry, pal, but a rock didn't come from a. Oh my God! This like come from a bang, get wet, and produce a human being. Time to wake up. So
yeah, that's when I post my my wet rock prayer.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it doesn't. It's not easy to get out onto here.
This is gonna be funny.
Yeah, he's an idiot, and I feel sad for him.
Yeah,
what did
what,
he say?
he really
He
feels
said,
well.
rocks coming from a bang.
Rocks begging. Woo! I mean, it's not that big a joke, but it works in this case.
Well,
All right.
That would explain why his claims are getting bolder and bolder.
Oh!
I have no regrets.
So Craig, he doesn't have a basement, unfortunately. Those mobile manufactured homes don't have basements.
Yeah.
Unless he's talking about Flojo.
Well, yeah, Flojo.
Yeah.
He still probably gets his mum to chew his food too.
I do find it interesting how often Flojo loves to brag about the fact that he spends time getting sweaty with men pinning him on mats. I think he's saying the quiet part loud.
Yeah, I don't even think he understands the implications of that.
He's a coward, and I don't care.
Yeah, it's fun to mess with, but that's about it.
But yeah, that's the. Sorry, I didn't mean to completely derail things. Neppy was back, and I was having fun at his expense earlier today.
Yeah, I'll check it out later.
But
all right. So okay. So so the only the other topic that I had was and this comes up all the time, just like these continual straw man arguments that atheism is a belief system. So this Scotland sword, maybe Craig knows him. I think that area is pretty small. I think everyone knows each other, but this straw man argument that atheism is a belief system and this new one is like this idea of an a priori belief system that there is no God or creator, which I guess presumably means that atheists are just declaring that there is no God without any prior experience.
Yeah,
which
no, that's not how that works at all, is it? We're not making that claim.
Exactly.
No, we're making the claim that you don't believe in a specific thing until it's demonstrated to exist. We're not starting from the conclusion that there is no God.
Right.
We're starting from the conclusion that we believe in things that we have evidence for.
Right. And also you would have to have an experience of someone making a claim that there is a God for you to say, nope, don't believe it. And the other, I guess, argument I was making on this is that atheism is really the position that there is no evidence for the existence of this supernatural being. And that, I think, is a fact. It's just a matter of fact. So, essentially accepting a point of fact is not a belief system. I guess you can argue otherwise, but for the most part, if that is the what is accepted as a point of fact, then it's not a belief system.
So to me, it comes down to who has the burden of proof, and this is something that I get into all the time, because the number one fallacy that I see more than anything in the comment section is the burden shifting fallacy.
Yeah,
and
so.
it was a couple weeks ago with Jay and Blarg. Was it you that accepted the premise that you had made had made a positive claim? So you were okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Occasionally, I will stand and make that positive statement, and it depends upon which one. Like, I'm not making a positive statement that no gods exist. I'm making a positive statement that the tri-omni God doesn't exist.
Sure. I guess
wrap that up.
I guess
the irony of a Scotsman using no true Scotsman argument is crazy.
I don't know that that's necessarily ironic, as opposed to the only possible way that could be done. Like an Australian doing a no true Scotsman, you go, no to Australian.
I think he also may be commenting on the fact that earlier in the thread I said, at least no true Scotsman knows every Scottish person.
Yeah.
So, did you ever see there was an ad for porridge that's, but that's not how you make porridge. But that's not how you make porridge. Just going on. And we had this comedy TV show that took that comment. Took that ad and redid it with, but that's not how you make fucking porridge.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was very, very good.
So I guess Blarg, I kind of wanted to pick your brain on that one, because to me, it's still on the person saying that the tri-omni God does exist.
That's true if they want to make that claim, but I had actually made the claim that it doesn't. Okay. So, in full knowledge of the fact, that put me up for for the burden.
Okay,
so,
all right. I mean, I guess from my perspective, and again, I would love feedback on this, because again, from a mental framework on how I'm, like, the mechanics of how I'm thinking, but then also the mechanics of how I debate. And some would argue how I cross-examine people, which I think is probably fair. If I say X doesn't exist, that's not is that an assertive claim?
Most certainly is.
It is, yeah.
So then,
you made a positive statement that this thing that essentially, if you wanted to consider the it as positive, you're making a negative claim, but it's positive that not X exists. Is the case? Is the claim you're making that? So yes, you are making a positive claim there.
okay, then again, so I'm genuinely asking here because again, from a to come at this from a proper framework, but also again from a tactical one. What then would you recommend in terms of the position? I guess it's just to say X has not been shown to be true.
Yeah, well, yeah, I haven't seen sufficient evidence to conclude that your statement's true.
Okay, so I guess you would say that in that sense it's a more sort of hyper personalized rather than general statement.
Yeah, like if you say God doesn't exist is a positive statement, or if you say I've seen no evidence to support the claim that God exists, or I haven't seen sufficient evidence to support the claim that God exists, you are definitely not making any positive claim there, other than the fact that you haven't seen enough evidence, and that's not a thing you can demonstrate.
Okay, and again, part of this is that if I'm going to die on the hill of intellectual consistency, I want to make sure that I'm framing my arguments in a way that is intellectually consistent and not unduly taking the burden away from myself without need to. I'm doing a terrible job of articulating where I'm coming from right now. But I guess I think where I'm having the difficulty intellectually is if you say X does not happen, X does not exist, that does not. The use of I guess where I'm having the difficulty is saying does not, to me, seems to not be a positive statement.
Well, think of it this way. Let's say you looked at a car and made the claim, that car is green.
Okay.
That's a positive statement. You could also make the statement, that car is not red. Still a positive statement.
Okay. All right. All right.
It doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. You're arguing for the positive or negative.
You're making an absolute statement.
That's what I was about to get to.
Right.
Yes.
So,
okay.
You are staking a position. So if you're staking a position, you need to defend it.
Okay. All right. And again, from an intellectually consistent perspective, which is what I strive for, that's where I was getting hung up. And I see what you're saying now is when making an absolute statement.
Yeah.
So then
you're making a statement of fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only thing is, like, I think when no, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, that's what I was just saying. The
so
statement of fact.
Then in that regard, I do owe Jay an apology because again, part of how I was interacting with him was coming off of a flawed premise on my part. So in that regard, Jay, if you're watching this at some point in the future, or if anybody can get a chance to talk to him, that's my bad on my part.
So the point I wanted to make on this is for atheists, one of the things that the theist or Christian really want to try to do is get to a position where they want to say that the atheist is making a positive claim and therefore they have the burden of proof because they desperately want to shift that burden. Because I mean, honestly, they can't bear their own burden of their position. So
that's what
they want to move it. I think the issue is that there's always this assumption that this burden has to be proven with, with a deductive argument, where it has to be logical, and you have to prove it, like actually formally prove that a God doesn't exist. So um, if you just say, well, I haven't seen God or haven't seen any evidence of God, they don't always do this, but the argument against that is that, that's like the black swan fallacy. You can't just say, I've never seen a black swan and therefore black swans don't exist. That is a fallacy. If the if the bar is that you have to have a deductive proof for your position, but
It's not
I don't.
possible to have that proof.
Yeah, it is. It's because that position is unprovable.
Yeah, that
It can
particular
be
way.
falsified, but it can't be proven. So that's where I think the position should be that you don't have to have a deductive argument for everything. You don't have a deductive argument for all your beliefs that you have. When you don't have a deductive argument to prove that the sun is going to rise tomorrow, but we know that the sun is going to rise tomorrow. We know, as in no, in the colloquial sense. No one would say we have no idea that the sun is going to rise tomorrow. We know it will rise, and that's more of an
There's a
inductive
reasonable
argument.
expectation.
Yeah, I think you can have a reasonable expectation, and I think you can have a reasonable level of, what can be more considered colloquial proof that God doesn't exist, and I think it can kind of go between an inductive and an abductive type of argument. An abductive argument is basically, an inference to the best explanation. If you see footprints in the snow, you don't say one of the option is that there's a footprint making fairy, because there's no reason for you to consider that as an alternative, as an option. So you would want to, for things that we observe about the world, you can come up with an abductive argument. So what we see in reality is not God existing. What we see is people who believe in God existing. And we have plenty of abductive arguments to explain the belief in the God. We have a lot of textual evidence that indicate how these texts get created and written down and
And you
passed
can
on,
watch
etc.
you can watch it change over time.
And you can
According to the Bible.
literally watch
Yeah.
religions form within our lifetime. People have created religions,
Yes.
Yeah. Scientology.
like Scientology.
Scientology, yeah. I was
yeah.
just thinking that.
That's probably the best explanation right there. Scientology.
Which was literally an experiment to create a religion,
Yeah.
completely successful experiment to show that a religion can be created. And then you
Yeah.
have the Mormonism. You have a lot of these recent, any kind of recent religion / cults. You can see how religions can form, how people get these beliefs. And also we have psychological reasons why people have these beliefs, why they maintain it, why they need it. And we have archaeological and sociological evidences as well. So we have a really, really good argument and explanation of religion. We have nothing that should lead us to say that one of the option is because there is an actual God that exists. So that's kind of my atheism. That's where I take that to be a more of a positive atheism, where I say that a God doesn't exist, and the argument is an abductive argument, not a deductive argument.
Yeah.
That's how it usually been. That's how the scientific method works for us. It's mainly been abductive.
What percentage of believers have a deductive argument for their belief? It's
None.
Yeah. Well,
let me know when you find one.
There are,
you-
there are plenty
I
of
mean,
deductive
I guess there are arguments, right? There are deductive arguments. They're just
There are
fallacious.
arguments,
They're
yeah.
just bad.
They're not
They're
sound.
just really bad,
Yes, they are very
like the
bad.
Kalam.
Oh God, and I use that in
Yeah.
most ironic way.
Yeah,
There needs to be a God because you can't have an infinite chain of contingencies, for example.
yeah, but that God has an infinite chain of thoughts.
Mhm.
One thought coming after the other thought. So, and if they don't stack in that direction, then there's an infinite amount of time has passed between the beginning of time and when he created, an infinite number of thoughts passed between when the universe was created and some time in the past. So, therefore, you've got an infinite regression. So, yeah.
But then there's also the point that I bring up, which is that if creation needs a creator, then either your God is a pleading case fallacy, which is I think what you were just pointing out, or you have to accept an infinite string of creators creating creators, which is equally as absurd. So and then when you start getting into questions like, okay, even if I accept your premise, when God created the universe, where was he? And that's the one
outside
that
the universe.
yes,
Outside space and
where
time.
yes,
Outside
where
of space
is
and
that?
time.
Yeah, where is that?
Can you
What's
point it out
funny
on
is
the
like,
map?
so on one of like I don't know if it's a repeat or not, but and maybe it was like Matt was in it. So they actually got one of these guys to say, they asked him, well, if God is outside of space and time, how long do they exist and where? And they actually got that person to say, well, they wouldn't exist. I mean, like their reasoning literally took them to the correct
Right.
response.
And-
So this is the argument that someone had posted I was responding to. So contingent beings cannot bring themselves into existence. The group of all contingent beings is an infinite contingent chain. Then an infinite contingent chain cannot bring itself into existence. The infinite contingent chain has no cause outside of itself. Hence, an infinite contingent chain is impossible. Now, the stumbling here is number 3, that an infinite contingent chain cannot bring itself into existence. Because if it's an infinite contingent chain, why would it need to bring itself into existence?
Yes, it doesn't have a beginning.
Yeah, it's like saying there's this number line, it goes back infinitely, but it has to have a beginning. No, there doesn't have to have a
That's
beginning.
incoherent.
That always
Because
happens.
you're
Yeah.
calling it infinite.
Yeah. Another way I like to look at it is if you look at the you say, oh, the Earth is standing on a turtle. What's that turtle standing on? Another turtle.
Yeah,
turtle,
right.
The turtle's
Oh,
all the way
that one,
down.
yeah.
And you go, oh, well, that fails because, what's the last turtle standing on? You go, well, no, that's the wrong question. There is no last turtle. The logic of this is there is no turtle that is not standing on something.
Yeah.
There exists no turtle that doesn't have a foundation under its feet. There is no, so there's no problem. It solves the problem. Nothing's falling.
I mean, some of it is, they don't understand the concept of infinity because it's a concept. They keep thinking, infinity is is a finite, but very, very large finite set of things.
To the
And
point where
it's
we
not.
can't comprehend.
And that's before you even get into larger infinite sets.
Right.
And
Even,
countable infinities and uncountable infinities.
yeah. The interesting thing is like the Hilbert's Hotel. Have you guys heard of that? Yeah. So it's like that. You can always, it's completely full, but you can always, have more guests come in.
Always room
because
for
all you have
one
to do is
more.
just have them go up, everyone move up one room. So the conclusion for that argument was that if it has a beginning, it's not an infinite contingent chain. So it's a straw man definition. It's like taking the statement, all men are mortal, and saying, because the reason I said that is like this guy's response was like, there are 2 types of infinites. there's a
Oh.
potential infinite, and then there's an actual infinite.
No,
and
oh,
infinite chain of
no, they did not actually say that.
Yes,
Yeah,
they did.
So
Oh my
so
god.
an infinite chain of contingent would be just potential infinity. So it's just like saying that all men are mortal, except there's two types of mortals: the potential mortal and actual mortals. And people who have potential mortality never die because they're just potentially mortal, and therefore Socrates is immortal. I mean, it's just like I just don't. Sometimes it boggles the mind that people don't see this.
They're really grasping for straws here.
That's a really strange way to define those infinities. They didn't get that
Yeah.
guessed at all.
Yeah.
That's not close to being correct.
Yeah,
So,
no.
Well, I mean, like when you say a potential infinite is having a beginning but no end.
Yeah, essentially they're saying that the positive number line
Yeah.
is an actual is a potential infinity.
Yeah.
But the entire number line is an actual infinity. What?
Yeah.
But that's no,
Because
that's
you put
not
a-
how infinities. No, okay.
My mind's broken. Oh my
God, that that makes my brain itch. Oh my God.
Because their idea of the infinite contingent chain is that, something caused something, so the thing that caused that thing, caused it to happen. And you're going back infinitely. So you are defining that infinite chain of contingent as being infinite.
Yeah, as having a beginning. And here's the other thing: there are infinities that have a beginning and an end. There are an infinite
sure.
number of
Yep. Real
decimals
numbers.
in between 1 and 0.
Yep.
That is true.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Excuse me.
yeah, that's not right at all.
Yeah, it is. So in dealing with both infinities and the concept of nothing, because that's another one that a lot of the creationists will get into, is this idea of, well, something can't come from nothing. Well, first of all, show me a nothing. And that's where this idea of you don't understand what nothing is. The null set. You can't go into or out of nothingness. It's just like infinity. It's a concept rather than an actual state. And even I'm doing a bad job of articulating it, and I only kind of understand the idea of nothingness. And it's just, sorry, I'm babbling now. I'll shut up.
Well, you literally can't conceive of nothingness, because
Right.
I feel like as soon as you conceive it, it's no longer a nothing.
Right. Once you start to define it, then you're giving it characteristics.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's
a concept of nothingness that we really can't really conceive anything about.
Yeah, I took a philosophy class, and one of the lectures was on nothingness, and it's one of the few times that I was fascinated and wanted to do carpentry with my forehead at the same time.
Oh yeah.
My girlfriend at the time asked me how class was, and I said, I learned nothing today.
Do you know what you read for the class on nothingness?
Oh God.
I mean, the famous one is Jean-Paul Sartre in Being and Nothingness. I don't know if that's what you read.
I do remember Sartre's name coming up.
Okay.
But it's also been more decades than I want to admit.
Yes, indeed.
So I will plead and know nothing about it.
Yeah, I mean, he's not really talking about like the nothingness as in like ontological nothingness, but more of I think in terms of like existentialism. So
yeah.
But all right. So next week we should hopefully have Orange Cat or Orange Unit back, and hopefully we can have a discussion. It's kind of interesting that he's an EMT and a pastor, but at least it sounded like, and that's the impression I got in the Twitter back and forth, is that he's more of the quote unquote progressive Christian, right? So
Yeah.
He does like to preach, that's for sure.
Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't sure how much to kind of step in on that, so I tried to kind of interrupt him a little bit when he went that way. But one of the items about the shooting that I had wanted to get into with him is how they're blaming trans people for the shooting.
Yeah.
Because it can't be the guns, right? And it can't be the fact that majority of the shooters are cis white males, but you get a couple of trans people in
And the majority of them
doing
are
it.
Christians as well.
Yeah. So people don't say, well, Christianity is a problem. But as soon as you get a trans person, it's like, nope, it's a trans. They
that's
want to
the
call it an
difference.
epidemic. So
Yeah.
Craig apparently doesn't like sermons.
Well, serious question, QC. Do you ever run into to Jay? I think he. I'm trying to think. It's like something like new apologetics. I think it's his handle. I'm trying to remember the handle that he goes by. Do you ever run into him?
Rats like that?
No, I haven't. I mean, like on his YouTube, right? YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I briefly looked at his channel, but it didn't seem like it was. I mean, he had a lot of subscribers, but it didn't seem like it was really getting.
No, because
much views.
again, now I genuinely, now that I understand, Blarg, where you're coming from, and again, the intellectual false premise that I was working off of. Now I genuinely feel bad. I do want to try and find the guy.
Well, I don't think that was like the only issue. He had a lot
No. There's so much more. Okay.
Oh, we can go all day on that.
I'm just talking about, look, in one specific part of the argument, in one specific string of questions and answers and assertions that I was making, I was coming from a bad premise. And again, to be intellectually consistent and honest, and because of how I was treating him, because of that bad premise, I at least want to take my lumps and apologize to him for that specific instance, that specific area.
I mean, that's reasonable,
Yeah.
So if you guys do happen to see him, let him know that I'm trying to, do the right thing here.
Yeah. Before we go, I just wanted to show the crowd a little something I got up to during the week that might be of some interest. So I'll share my screen. Oh, hang on.
And I want to tell you a real conversation that I had with my mom earlier this week. But you first, Blarg.
Can you make that a single?
Oh, how are you sharing that?
It's just turned on my camera.
Why isn't it not coming up?
You
you turned on your camera. Oh, sorry. Yep. How do I get you to be the primary? Oh, maybe if you talk.
Can you? Does it pull me over? No, it's not. That's not working.
Oh, how do I don't know how to. Oh, maybe if I click on it. How do I select? I don't know how to select the people. So anyway, we would have to do it this way. Go ahead. Oh, there you are. Okay.
So.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Yep. There we go.
That's what I got up to.
That's pretty impressive.
So, yeah, I made that.
Doesn't that take a lot of effort to maintain?
Well, no. Surprisingly, not that much, because the thing is set up to basically look after itself. You don't have to change water because it's got a lot of plants to consume all of the problems. And if you have it reasonably well balanced, very, very little effort.
Huh.
That's cool.
Interesting.
So, yeah. and plants growing out the top as well to help absorb the food that is going into the tank.
Hey, Blard, Tilting Windmills is asking, what do you have living in there?
At the moment, just some snails. I only put them in there just to get it started. So essentially, my plan is to just get this stabilized. It'll go through a period where it probably gets brown algae on everything, and that's because brown algae is diatoms that pop up anytime you have new gravel. Then that'll settle down, and we'll make sure everything's stabilized beforehand. But that's how that works. And then, I'll show you my I'll show you my old tank, which I've had for a long time. Wait, over here.
You're starting out with snails, so that way you can make the Life S-Car go.
So this is the tank I made. It's over a year and a half old, and I never clean it. So
okay.
It looks after.
There's actually fish there. I see.
Yeah. It's full of fish. There's
it's
something
coming along swimmingly.
Nice, Tilting. Well done.
Yes.
60 different fish in there. So
60. Wow.
So apparently you are your brother's kipper.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Then the other thing, when you guys see this, what do you see?
This may be a little bit out there, but this kind of reminds me of that famous Dante's Inferno painting. A little bit.
So can you guys see it? Once you see it, you cannot unsee it.
Yeah. It's feet on a rug.
Yes, it's feet.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
But once you see it, you can't see the other image.
That's
you only see you cannot unsee the feet.
Yes.
Wow. That's
trippy. I was so out of it, I didn't realize that. Wow.
Yeah, try to imagine it what you were seeing before, where you weren't seeing the feet.
I'm actually had no problem doing that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're obviously a psycho.
I can flip back and forth quite easily between the two versions of images, where you've got the vase or the two faces.
Yeah. Well, no, that's a little bit easier, but
but
that
one
sort of
thing,
it actually got me where
I completely missed it.
Real quick, guys. So I was talking to my mom earlier this week, and one of the things that she loves is her trashy mystery novels. It's her part of how she passes the time. And I was asking her what she was reading, and this is a real conversation that she and I had, where I asked her about her latest book, and she's reading about this guy who had his house stolen from him. And without missing a beat, I looked at her and I said, "Wow, that sounds like a lot to investigate."
It's bad. It's just bad.
It's so bad.
Hey, look, those kinds of bad puns are foundational to my humor.
Yeah, I've actually been watching a little bit of a channel where they do bad dad jokes, and they sit. The two of them sit in front of each other. It's like competitive bad jokes.
Yes.
Oh my!
Are they sitting on lawn chairs and they're over by a lake?
No. They're just sitting in at a table with a bottle of some sort of alcohol, and the person who laughs has to take.
Yes. I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's very, very they're good. And there's a guy there who's an Australian fella who he just can't win. He laughs at everything, including his own jokes. His face is just about, he's having an aneurysm. Yeah.
Let's see. What has 10 toes and is not your feet? My feet. It's dumb jokes like that, and I wish they didn't make me giggle as much as they do. But They're awesome.
Like what sits in the corner of your kitchen? What's white sits in the corner of your kitchen and looks embarrassed?
I don't know what.
An embarrassed fridge.
Yeah.
I think that one just broke my brain.
It's just fucking wrong.
It's like, what the hell? Was it
This is from my garden, not garden, but yard. I planted for some seeds. It's a cosmos, so started blooming.
Bloomin' Cosmos.
that is
Yes.
awesome.
Actually, are those? Do you guys have that in Australia? I think it's pretty much widely distributed. Cosmoses.
Yeah, I don't know the. Well, I haven't had that particular one.
All right. Well, this was another fun discussion, and next week, like I said, we'll have Orange Unit, and we'll try very hard, as Craig had asked, for us to limit the preaching as much as possible. But
real
he's
quick.
a preacher. It's gonna be hard.
Real
Yeah.
quick before we go, because we're over time this week, I'm not gonna ask to do it, but I asked last
Oh,
week.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
No,
I
it's all
forgot
right. It's
about
not a
that.
big deal today.
Well, actually, go ahead and why don't you go ahead and do it? I mean, we can go like another 10 more minutes. So, yeah, if you could just give a little background of what you want to say and why.
I just want to say, 20 years ago, Hurricane Katrina came through Louisiana, right? And it destroyed a lot. I just want to shout out to my friend, all the people that used to live where I live. It was a small town called Beerus, Louisiana.
Yeah.
It was the first city to be hit by Katrina, first town to be hit by Katrina. It was where I came over land, first place. And I was wanting to show some images of just general places that I can remember, and just how bad it looked. If you give me a moment, I'm gonna try to see if I can't present it.
Sure. What was the name of the town?
Buras, Buras.
Oh, B-U-R-A.
If you want to pull up a map, I'll show you where it was located.
Buras? B-U-R-A-S?
Yeah, it's pronounced Buras. It's pronounced Buras.
Oh, okay.
Buras, Louisiana.
Oh, wow.
That's where I lived at. Lived out in
very near New Orleans.
Yeah, just about 60 miles southeast of New Orleans, near the Mississippi River Delta.
Yep.
This is where the storm. That's where the storm came over. That's where the eye came over the first place before it hit anywhere else.
Yeah, I've been in a cyclone where the eye came over the top.
Yes.
It was only a little one. So, whole difference.
Yeah, it's
See, it's just
tiny
it's a little
place.
strip. It's a little strip of land on the west bank of the river. On one side you have the river, the other side's the Gulf. There's just that little strip of land.
That is a bad place to build that does not look like a place you should be building anything.
No, yes, you're right. It really should.
Looking that looks like a disaster waiting to happen.
It is. It is. It's.
I mean, this is water.
That's all water. That's just marshland water right there. Shallow, shallow water.
So essentially, the land that it's built on only exists because the river has dumped silt.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's always protected by levees on each side of it, the Gulf and the river side. As you can see, right here where the red lines, that's roughly the levees that protect it from the Gulf. And you can see right there, you can see where the river is. There's only a 50-foot levee that protects it from the other side. And when the storm hit, it broke the levees in multiple places. It was all that whole area, all that land for about weeks was flooded completely.
Yeah, that's the problem with levees, isn't it? If you get over the top of the levee, it's turned into a bathtub.
Yes. Yes, it really is.
I know. I thought there was like maybe I have to go to Google Earth, but you can have it like see what it was in the past.
Yes. I mean, it's a lot different than what it used to be. There's far less people that live there now.
Back Levy.
Yeah, like all that was just underwater for weeks. The pumps failed. The pumps that force the water out. If there's a flood, all of them failed.
Yeah, they don't work real well when they're underwater. Also,
Yeah.
I suspect there would have been problems with power supply to the area
Oh yes, there was no
because
power.
there's no way.
Wait,
Yes.
what year was was
2005.
Katrina?
That was bad. It's 20 years ago.
Yep, 20 years
That was
yesterday.
sort of the darker bit of humor that was going around afterwards. Was what's George Bush Jr.'s position on Roe v. Wade? He really doesn't care how people leave Louisiana.
Oh yeah.
It was there's you could spend an entire economics career looking at how low income areas are affected by climate change. Increases in flooding, increasing in drought, and how so many systems that we thought were supposed to work to the benefit of the public just were never maintained, were never looked after, because Steve, you would know this way better than I would, being from that area. But just so much of the lower income areas have just been forgotten about. Just they're impossible to return to.
You're right. Oh, because now anything past a certain part, it's expensive to live down there now.
Yeah.
Because you gotta have excessive flood insurance now because of how much it costs to repair all that area.
Yep.
And insurance was wouldn't pay for it.
What do you reckon is in how much insurance are you talking?
I don't know. I have not lived down there. We moved away from there after the storm.
Yeah, because I own a house in a flood zone, and the insurance company that we had, first year we owned it, I think they charged us $4,000 for the insurance. The second year it was $6,000, and then the third year it was $10,500.
Yes.
For insurance, and the house actually, it's not like where that is. The house has been flooded 3 times since we owned it, and it's never had any damage. It doesn't get damaged by the flood waters. They're just never high enough, and it downstairs is just rock block.
Oh, cute. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Laurie, but
Yep.
see this area right in here? I used to have a great grandma that used to live right down this lane or in this area. She passed away years before the storm. I remember when I was a kid going up and down these areas, and right back there is where the water tower is. That's where the high school was as well. It just brings back memories to see this. I mean, I remember all this because this is because this road right here, it terminates right back over here, but it goes a few miles down the other way. And I used to live at the other end of the road where it terminated at the other end. It goes about 5 miles down that way. See, like right about here, that road right there, you see to the right. This road right here, if you turn to the right, this was the road to the high school. It's been torn down since then, replaced by a bunch of teachers' apartments. Yet you really have to go back to right after the storm to see the damage to that building because that's
anybody who still lives down there?
I have a few friends that moved back down there because they lived on the water. They fishermen, charter boat operators. That was their life.
Sure.
That's how they made their living. Yeah, but this used.
Yeah, it's interesting. The house is essentially just like on stilts.
Yeah, that's the teachers' apartments because there's only one high school in the whole area that serves 3 townships.
I
That's the
see.
teachers' apartments.
Huh.
Yeah, because I used to go. I've been up and down this road so many times over the years. This is like one of the main drags through town right here. This road. Yeah.
There's a long way up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And
were you able to get something or share
Yes.
something?
If you like, I pulled up a page that had some pictures. If you want to take it, it's
Wait,
not going to be
can
a
you
whole
like
lot.
share it?
Yeah, I'll
on
share the
yours?
screen. Give me a second,
Yeah.
all right? You'll have to give me a second because I'm not used to doing this. All right.
All right.
So you'll have to give me a moment.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If you like go and share, it should pop up here. Okay, here it goes.
Okay. It's yes. As you can see, let me go back here. Are you seeing me smooth screen?
Yep.
All right. That's the high school right there, where you see all the teachers' apartments. You know that there was still it stayed around for. They kept the building around for a little bit, but in the end, it was just so damaged to the point it was not salvageable. Let's see. That's the auditorium. That was like the municipal auditorium, right next to the school building. It's still there. They rebuilt that. They repaired that, so it still stands. As you can see, this right here, that was the a sign right in front of one of the grocery stores we had in the town, and you can just see you can see the auditorium was right after. Now they show some like more recent pictures of like right.
Do you have a line, an indication where the water came up to on that auditorium building?
It's hard to see because they redid a lot of it, but
Cleaned it.
Given the size of it, because the high it goes higher levees. I'm saying to see those upper level windows right there.
Yeah.
Probably
right around that area.
Good grief.
Yeah, say that those high those high stilt buildings didn't get saved either. They had water through them.
Yeah, let's see. See that store right there where it says hometown?
Yep.
That building was only a block away from my house. That was the place I had my first job at. It's hard to find because you can't really tell. See that cemetery right there? That was right next to the school building. That's where I have one of my grandfather and one of my cousins buried at. That's the church that sits right behind the cemetery.
How's your headspace doing these days, man? I mean, the 20th anniversary has got to be intense for you.
It's been long enough now that I've come to grips with it.
Okay.
We've long since moved on and restarted our lives. And moved. I remember that place, Alice and Woody's. That was a restaurant just right up the block where we lived. Fortunately, the people who owned it rebuilt it, so it's still there as of today. That's the store I was telling you about, the one with the sign in front of it. I knew the owner and his family. My brother had a job there for a short time. I mean, some of these are hard to tell because everything's been knocked out. You can't tell much anything. See, that church right there? That's where my mother sent me to Sunday school when I was a kid. And that's where I had a preschool at, too, where I went to.
See, you turned out just fine.
I turned out fine. Yeah, I just turned out fine. I survived that. There's a Masonic lodge that was just about 2 blocks away from where I lived. Oh, what is this place again? Oh, I think that was an old, one of those steel buildings. That used to be a private school. With that, it long since shut down before the storm, and the place was already gutted out. Man, me and my friends used to go there and just hang out, have a good time, get away from everything, and do some other things. I probably can't stay here.
We need plausible deniability, thanks.
Yes, plausible. You got it right. Yeah.
Now all the evidence has been washed away.
Oh yeah. You're not gonna find it now. I mean, that little store right there was owned by a friend of mine's family. It was like a little gas station, convenience store, right in the middle of town. I've been there so many times. That church, it looks like it's been rebuilt, but that was local church a few blocks away from me. That house is, I mean, I can't place it though. I can't. It's been so long, I forget where some of the places were. But yeah, you can see just
This place seems like it's 50% churches by volume.
Yes, it was a small little. It was a small little town, fishing town.
Yeah, just all these churches.
You got at least about 5 churches just down the main drag alone. It's it just brings back memories. I mean, I'm not depressed about it. It certainly still hurts because you remember all the memories you had with your friends, your family, but see right here. See this brick wall? This is Fort Jackson, historical Fort Jackson. It was just about a few miles away from where I lived. That was the site of the last battle of War of 1812. When was 1812 or no, the Civil War? Right when the North was coming up the river. That was the last defenses before New Orleans. It was located about 4 miles away from me. There's some other pictures I want to show, but they're not showing up on this page. I'll have to come back later and find them. But remember that where I showed you where the school road was? Let me see if I can find it here. Right here. You see that? That's a full-size tanker washed up in levee, right at the edge of the road, that school road. That was a full-size tanker just washed up onto the levee.
That's insane.
Yes, it took them months to get that thing broken down and cleared out. There was a better picture somewhere. I don't think it's here. Yeah. There's one more picture. I'm trying to find it real quick. There was a picture that there's only like 2 bridges. See, like, you remember how the road was? How that little strip of land with all the town was on? There's only 2 bridges that allow you to get down there because there's a canal that was cut in from the river to the Gulf. It literally separates the whole southern side of the west side of the river, pretty much like a big island. And those bridges were blown out or blocked up. If I could find a picture of it, I could show you what I mean. I don't think it was. Oh, this is a picture of the firehouse, the local volunteer firehouse.
You've only shared one tab, so we can only see the Bureau.
I'm sorry. I got. Let me fix that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me go back and share that screen.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry.
But yeah, that's how it kind of works.
Yeah. I'm not used to this, so yeah. But that's if you can see right there, you see that building to the right.
Yep.
That was the firehouse. Located just right next to the ball fields. Good memories, man. Fortunately, I'm trying to find a picture here. You can see this one's one of the levee breaks, right? I think that's New Orleans actually, because there's that's one from New Orleans area. Yeah. Okay, see this right here? See that bridge right there?
Oh wow.
That's the only way to get into that and a small drawbridge are the only 2 ways to get down to that part of the that part of the parish. And just all these fishing boats just got washed up right in front of the bridge, blocking it off. As a matter of fact,
much there.
And on the other side of the bridge, for a while there's a 3-story big plantation-like house that literally got pushed off its foundation in front of the bridge on the other side too at one point. I just want to show this because a lot of people forget they see New Orleans. That's all I know of is New Orleans. They saw all the devastation, which rightfully so. It deserves because it was horrible. But they don't realize that small towns like this, where I came from, how many people lost their livelihoods, their homes, and the devastation that was wrought in these smaller towns that nobody talks about. And just to me, I just want to talk about this because I'm one of those that suffered like that. And I want to bring attention to that. In fact, this is better picture of it right here. That bridge.
Yeah.
Is that the bridge? Yes, that's the bridge.
Yeah, it's a
That's
hell
the-
of a thing, isn't it?
Yes.
Just park a couple of trawlers on the top of it. She'd be fine.
Oh yeah. It was just crazy. They managed to clear it out enough that right after the water first subsided. In fact, this is a better picture after the water recessed. You can see, all those because there's a giant fish processing plant right next to the bridge. Oh God, that stinks like hell. Oh my God, your windows were down. You were gonna get sick. But yeah, those were all those fishing boats that would bring in fish and all that. But that's what I just want to show you this because, like I said, people don't realize, this devastation and destruction of these smaller towns. And I was a victim of that, and I can't tell you how hard it was to go home. And we were fortunate, at least my family was. Our home was still intact. We lived in like a little trailer home, modular trailer home, and the building itself stayed intact in one piece, pretty much fine. It got pulled off its anchors and drifted off into the yard a little bit, but some old trees in our yard that managed to stay up even through the storm. It got pinned in between that. We were able to at least salvage something. Unfortunately, the home was destroyed because water got in and everything inside was ruined. But we were at least able to salvage something. I had my grandmother and two sets of aunts and uncles who lost everything. Their houses were completely gone. There's nothing to salvage. It was even worse for my grandmother because she was dying of cancer at the time. And that's the house she shared with my late grandfather. Everything was gone. Her life, everything up to that point was gone. Her family spread to the four winds. Her home gone. She in a place that was unfamiliar to her. And she died 2 months later on Halloween night. And before that, even when she was dying of cancer, we go to her house. She was dancing, cutting up with everybody else, even though she was sick and dying. But after the storm took everything from her, she lost the will to live. That storm took her will to live, and I don't think a lot of people realize not only just the financial and physical toll, but the mental and emotional toll that something like this can happen to people. And I just want to. I didn't plan exactly how I wanted to do this. I didn't have time because I was busy with other things throughout the week. I want to be more in depth and more precise, but I just want to show this to people, to everybody who watches this. Yes, New Orleans was hurt bad, and areas around it, but small towns like this, out in the middle of nowhere, on this coast, people's livelihoods, people's lives were just gone because of something like this. And I just want to bring attention to this.
Thank you.
There's not much more I can say to it.
Yeah, no, it's a hell of a memory, and we feel you, man. We do.
Yeah, because I remember when we were able to just even get down there for the first time. Just to see the devastation, places you knew either smashed or gone entirely.
You had evacuated though, didn't you?
Yes, well, I got a funny story on that one. My family, I was actually in college at the time it happened, out in Baton Rouge, going to Louisiana State University. And I was living in a dorm at the time out there, so that was a safe area. Problem was, though, that weekend I went down to New Orleans with a friend of mine. We barely got out of there before the storm hit. It took us 14 hours to drive from New Orleans to Houston, which is usually about a 5-hour drive, because the roads were so clogged. Hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, maybe 100,000 people trying to escape that area before the storm hit. Because see, with Katrina, what happened was, as it was coming in, it was a Category 2 the night before it hit. But then 2 days before. The next day, like August 28th, that morning, it went from a Category 2 to a Category 5 overnight. It hit that warm, shallow water right off the coast, and that water, just like a jolt of energy to it, it built it up so fast. and it caused everybody to panic because they saw a monster coming their way, and there's nothing they could. And nobody planned for it. All the evacuation plans were not heeded, and it just was complete chaos. And I'm surprised, it wasn't as bad as it was in terms of loss of life, because it was such a struggle to get out of there, safety, because this thing was huge. This storm was huge.
And you guys didn't have the advantage of having any land for it to run over the top of and slow it down.
No, we didn't.
You're on the water.
Yeah, we're right there, so you have to get ready and far more in advance than anybody else, because you're the first line. You're literally the first line when a storm like this comes over you. There is no buffer zone.
Yeah,
you
whereas
are the buffer.
The one that came over the top of me that had that went through the eye of, it went from category 1 or 2 to category 5 in a matter of hours.
That's exactly what happened to this one. Yeah,
I'd never seen anything like it in our waters before. It just zoomed up, but it was tiny. It wasn't big, so it was enormously intense, but it was really small.
And probably fast moving too, if I'm not.
Yeah. And then when it hit the land, by the time it got to my place, it was only category 1.
Yeah, because once it goes early, I'm sorry.
It was still terrifying. Like, honestly, it happened during the day, and then like a year later, we went camping and stayed in a place that was like really gusty, and it just freaked us out because the sound was the same. We thought we were back inside it. It was like PTSD night.
I put
only category 1, and you're like, oh.
I'll put it like this. When I was growing up, category 1 storms, especially ones that were very small, like barely category 1s, I remember going out in the yard playing football with my friends. We were so used to it because that was just a fact of life for us. We were so used to it, But then when this hits and you realize,
it's a big storm. That's the thing. It just grinds for so long and picks up so much water.
It was so big, but it moved so slow.
Yeah,
because it had passed really the final part of the storm that passed until the next day. As you can see in this image right here, it's probably mocked up a little bit, but it's about that size. It was that big. It took up a good portion of the Gulf, and that's saying a lot. This thing was a monster.
Yeah, we should have dedicated this
More time.
whole stream to this, but we're running out of time. I'm not sure what kind of things that Tilting wanted to say that YouTube is somehow like preventing him from stating.
Yeah.
But just to kind of close out, I wanted to add up. I've removed this. So in response to the post I had put in, so one of the response was word salad. I ate 4 cans of alphabet soup and just had the largest vowel movement ever.
Oh, Jesus. Come on.
Damn. What the?
Yeah, I thought the response was going to be no word yet.
So I thought I'd just close with this. I thought that was just kind of funny.
I was thinking the bottom of that should have been, no, I just wrote a Bible verse.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for sticking on, and
I'm sorry to take up y'all time, everybody.
Oh no worries. Yeah, no worries. It was good discussion. So I look forward to seeing all you guys next week, and we'll have our cat guy back as long as he's not getting called to some emergency.
Hopefully he does it this time.
Yep. All right. Okay. Thanks everyone. Thanks you guys.
Thanks all. Be well.
See you tomorrow. Okay.
Take care, everybody.